Hello and welcome. Today we are going to be looking at Chapter 5, Lesson 1, Rounding Decimals. And it goes with page 303 in our textbooks. So rounding decimals is very similar to rounding a whole number. You just have to be careful when it tells you which place value to round to, that you are choosing the correct place value. So in page 303, it wants us to round the number 2 8/10. So to do that, one way they are saying we can do that is to draw ourselves a number line. And on our number line, this far part to the left is 2, and over here is the whole number 3. And we're going to break this into tenths because that 8 is in the tenths place. Please remember that the tenths place is one digit to the right of the decimal, so you're going to have to refer back to your place value chart from chapter 1 if you are not familiar or don't remember the place values of the decimals. So since this is tenths, that tells me that between 2 and 3, it has been cut up into 10 places because that is the tenths place. And so that would tell me that right here in the middle, that would be 2 5/10. And I'm just going to number these 2.1, 2 1/10, 2 2/10, 2 3/10. Oh, I'll put it up here, 2 4/10. I didn't do that very well. 2 6/10, 2 7/10, 2 8/10, and 2 9/10. And when we're making these things on our own, I try very hard to make them as even as possible because both decimals and fractions are talking about equally divided sections. But when we're doing it on our own freehand, it's a little bit more difficult. So if I put a point here on 2.8, and then I'm looking at, is that closer to, if I'm rounding it to the whole number, is it closer to the whole number of 2 or the whole number of 3? I guess to make clear on these directions, it should be to the nearest whole number. And so the whole number is the number that does not have a decimal part to it. So is it closer to the whole number of 2 or the whole number of 3? And we can see here that our distance to 3 is much closer than our distance to 2. So we would round this to the whole number of 3. That would be our final answer there because 2.8 is closest to 3. It's closer to the whole number of 3. That's using a number line. Using a number line is not always practical, really, unless they give us a number line to fill in. To make it freehand is not really a practical way to do it. So we do it by using the rounding rules. So if the directions, and this is from 304, say round, 46 73/100 to the nearest tenth, then I'm going to take my number, and what I do is I underline the tenths place, which is here, that's 7, and I circle the digit directly to the right because that digit tells the 7 what to do. And just like rounding rules for whole numbers, if the digit to the right is 0 through 4, I'm going to round down. And if that digit to the right is 5 to 9, I'm going to round up. So this is a 3. That fits in the 0 to 4 category. So that means round down, which means 7 will stay the same. So when I'm rounding decimals, if I'm in the decimal places, then I just drop the 3. I don't put anything. I leave the 7 alone because I'm rounding down, but I drop the 3. Now, if you put a 0 in that spot, let me change color so you can see the difference here. If I put a 0 in that spot, that's not wrong because 70 hundredths is the same value as 7 tenths. But part of the point of rounding is to get rid of those extra digits in the place value positions, right? So I really, even though this is not wrong, really 46 and 7 tenths is the answer that I'm aiming for because I'm just getting rid of those extra digits. Let's practice one more. Round to the nearest whole number. Now the nearest whole number means the ones place, right? Because the whole number meaning whole, meaning no decimal parts. Because remember, decimal parts are parts of the number that are less than one whole. So when I'm rounding to the whole number, it's really asking me to round to the ones place. So if they gave me the number 26 and 85 hundredths. So here's 26 and 85 hundredths, and it's asking me to round to the nearest whole number, which means I would underline the digit in the ones place because I'm trying to get rid of everything from the decimal over. That place to the right tells that 6 what to do. So this is an 8. 8 falls into the 5 to 9 category, which means I'm rounding up. Make that number, that wavy equal sign means about. So 8 tells that 6 to round up. So I keep my 2. I keep anything on the left has to stay. So I keep my 2 in the tens place. 8 tells that 6 in the ones place to round to a 7. And now I have just a whole number. I've rounded away anything from the decimal over. All right, thank you for watching today.